There was that time I fell asleep I had to sleep at the hippie's house. That I was telling you about earlier. That was a horrible wake up.
The hippie house? I can't remember it.
Oh, he was listening to POD and telling us about his acid trips. And then me and my friend Demi walked to Southend to have a few drinks and went back. And I slept under a chair. And then I woke up in this room just full of people. And me and Demi were getting a lift off my parents at about 9 in the morning. Because we got stranded because one of our mates was supposed to give us a lift home, but he went to a club.
Yeah.
And just never came back. So we had to stay there. And it was like 5 in the morning when we went to sleep, and we had to get up at about 8. And then we walked down to the seaside, and we went paddling to wake us up. And get some water on our feet and on our faces. And that was a horrible morning. But the paddling was fun.
What's the most tired you've ever been?
I'm really tired now. Last night I was like horrible place. I was so tired. Don't know, like, apart from those 2 times, because they're most recent, I guess. I have been tired a lot.
Just by the very nature that you've been to sleep a lot. What's the most high you've ever been?
I was at my friend's house. She every now and then she had these parties. Where are you filming this? You're making a documentary. Where like loads of people would turn up and there'd be like a party in one room and there'd be the stoners in the other room.
Yeah.
Just smoking all night.
I can imagine which room you were in.
Yeah. Like at all 3 of those parties, the most stoned I've ever been times. The first one, we all got there and we were all getting our equipment out, and her dad came in and he grows his own. And he had a Tupperware box, like a Chinese Tupperware box, full to the brim with freshly grown weed, and he was like, "Here you go, guys, help yourself." And I was like, "Oh, okay." 16 hours later, we were still there smoking, and he came in with another bud and was like, "Just a little top up." And me and one of the guys were the last 2 up, and we decided to go to sleep at about 6 in the morning, and we slept till 7:30, and woke up and we saw one of our other mates outside rolling a joint. It was like, spliff time. So like we had an hour and a half sleep after a 16-hour sesh, and then wake and baked. It was supposed to just be like a wake and bake, and then 5 in the afternoon is when we finished the weed and decided to go home. That was quite extreme, but I got to the point where I'd smoked myself sober, I think, because it was just felt like normality at that point. And then, but the second party, or the third, I'm not sure which one, they both merged together. I remember at one point I was sitting outside. This was the third one, yeah. Sitting outside, and they had a fire because it was like the winter. And I remember staring at the fire, and it was just me, her dad, and some guy sitting there. The guy was like this, and her dad had a puppy, had one of their puppies when he was smoking a joint. And I was just sitting there staring at the fire. You know, like when you watch a 3D film, like your depth perception is heightened, and you can really tell that something's there and something's there. And like I could see the flames and I could see the 2 people there, and it was like 3D film. And like I could hear the sound of the pie behind me, so I could I was imagining what was happening over here. So it was like I could see that as well, and I was really over-analysing it in my head. I was like, whoa, like the world is 3D. Do you know what I mean? And I was just like, and then all of a sudden, like loads of people came outside and just freaked me out, and I was like, the guy who was like that went, no! He really got scared. And then a little while later, I was holding one of the puppies, and I was sitting next to the girl's dad, and he was smoking a joint again. He was like, "Want to trade?" I was like, yeah. So I gave him the puppy, and I smoked the joint. Yeah, those 2 times, the most high I've ever been, I think.
Shit.
I've never been like in a state where I can't physically do anything though, so I don't think you can get to that stage, you know.
You mean where you physically can't take any more?
But weed is one of those things you can just keep going. You can't overdose on it, or you can take too much. You can just keep going. Although I have been in situations where I've done too much too fast, and that just makes you throw up, and then you feel like shit for half an hour, and you have a nap, and then you feel great. But when you throw up after smoking weed, it's the most horrific thing ever, because it's proper projectile vomit. Because your body's just like, oh wait, go away, like that. And also all the munchies you eat don't make for good vomit.
What's the worst munchies you've ever had? Like in terms of like the worst stuff that you've ever eaten whilst high?
Me and my friend Josh, every Monday in my first year of college, because we both finished early, we'd either, like on the way home, buy a bottle of red wine and some cheese, or we'd pick up. And this one time we picked up, and we went to the co-op to buy our munchies, and we bought a big pack of macaroni and cheese and a pizza. And so we got high, and then it got time to eat that pizza and macaroni and cheese, and we had to cook it, and we were just too high to cook, and like the macaroni and cheese went really dry because we overcooked it, and on the pizza there was a polystyrene bit underneath that you're supposed to take out, but we left it on when we put it in the oven, so our pizza had polystyrene on it, and the macaroni and cheese was really dry, but we ate it anyway.
All of it?
Nah, it was too disgusting. We ended up eating like 10 bags of crisps afterwards to make up for it. Tell you the best munchies I've ever had.
Yeah.
I've got this friend back home whose house I stay at like a few nights when I go home. And one night we were really high, and it was like, man, I wish I had some food, because he didn't have any food at the time. I was like, yeah, man. Let's go to Tesco's. So we got his girlfriend to drive us to Tesco's. And because we were really high and there was so much choice, we wandered around for about an hour. And eventually we got to the meat section, and we saw these like big steaks like for £5 each, and it was just like, that's what we're having. And we went back, and they had this big griddle thing, and like there was 4 of us, I think. So we had like a steak each for cooking, with like this Worcester sauce and mustard dressing, and it was so good. That was the best munchies I've ever had.
Just in terms of the taste and stuff.
And the quality of the food as well. It's very rare that you think about the quality of food. You usually think about the quantity. That was good. Any more questions? I thought of the worst wake up I've had. I just remembered.
Oh, really?
Alright, one night, me, Josh, and our mate James, we went to a pub in Southend, which is the place that I told you I walked to from Leicester. But yeah, and we'd all met up beforehand, and we had a spliff. We went to the pub, like, this is my town, and then we went back to mine, and James pulled out these 2 grams of cocaine. He was like, so we're going out tonight, right? I was like, James, no. But then we did it. We had a couple of lines each, and then we got the train to Southend, and we were just going to the pub, and we were just sitting in the pub buzzing, and then the pub closed, and it was like, we're just going to have to go to a club, aren't we? Because we were still like buzzing. So we finished off our stuff. Like we had to do it quick because we couldn't take it in there because they were searching. So we had like 4 or 5 lines each before we went into the club, and that lasted like. This was about midnight, and the club closed at 4, and it lasted all that time. The buzz, and then we drank like. James and Josh between them spent 150 quid on drink that night. That was including paying for me because I had no money. And then afterwards we were still so drunk and buzzing. We decided it would be a good idea to go for a run. And like the club had closed, so like, that's all we could do. And the first train wasn't till 6. So we ran along the seafront from Southend. Not to Westcliff, but the next train station along from Westcliff, so about 3-4 miles. And we just ran the whole way, and then we got there at about 5. No, probably about like 5:30. And yeah, the first train was at 6:30. So we all got there, and we got to the platform, and we all got our own bench and had a nap on the bench for an hour. And I woke up. And like the train pulled in, and we had the brisk wind from the sea and pigeons above us, and it was really cold, and I had to come down, and it was just the worst thing ever. And then we had to go all the way home, and then walk from the train station to my house, and it was like 8 by the time we got home. Just felt like shit, but it was a good night. And that's the worst wake up I've had.
Where's the wisdom from Beardface Jonny?
Oh, ridiculous, mate. And that's when Josh got addicted to cocaine. Shortly after that.
But that's another story.